Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. And this watch is in the tradition of the 1917 Cartier Tank, but this is the Tank Anglaise, which was launched in 2012. And the variant of the Tank Anglaise in my hand was subsequent to that, debuting in what is called the large size of the watch in 2015. So the Tank Anglaise is still visibly a tank watch, but it's a little bit more massive. Its proportions are different. It's a bit more close coupled. It's like the difference between a dog and an English bulldog. It is just a little bit more square, cobby, and built up. The watch has impressive presence, though it is not a large watch. 29.8 from side to side. It measures 10 millimeters thick, and then from end to end, if we're just measuring the case, it's 39 millimeters. If we measure the end link on each side, then it's 41 millimeters across the wrist, and it's got kind of a quirky 20.5 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now there is the XL version of this, which is considerably larger and features the display case back, and then there is the large, which is what this is. Both are mechanical and automatic. You can see on the wrist, it cuts a striking figure. Watch that is easy to wear, even on a small wrist. You can see those lugs come nowhere near the edge of my wrist. Normally, a non-round watch is going to wear a lot bigger than a round watch. This one actually seems to be one of the few non-round watches that wears a little bit smaller than I would have expected, and you can see it'll fit underneath the cuff, no issues there. Take a look at how much clearance I have on each side. This is a watch for a man, but also for a woman, as it's not particularly tight. When viewed over the top, the lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist. I've got a lot of clearance. I think you could wear this on a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. It's about 160 grams. I put it on the scale, so it's got a satisfying weight to it. You can see this design of pre-curved links. This is something Cartier has used in the past. The bracelet's fairly thin, but also fairly supple. You can see that every individual link is removable to aid in sizing. And then we have an intermediate-sized link there in case you find yourself in between sizes. We've got a clasp, which is double folding, but friction fit, so it snaps shut just like that, snap, snap. And then externally, you can see that the part line shows the two halves of the bracelet. That's the partition point. It's not branded. It's not particularly built up. It's designed to be kind of low-key, almost like a Rolex crown clasp. And you can see that the clasp body itself doesn't add a lot of thickness to the bracelet when the bracelet is collapsed, which is a nice feature. The case flank is brushed. The majority of it is polished. You can see that the flanks at 12 o'clock and down at 6 o'clock, those are brushed, so we have a nice subtle contrast and a fascinating double crown mechanism. Now, I am always a little bit cautious with some of Cartier's oddball crowns, the Ballon Bleu, the Clay, and now this. But unlike the first two, this isn't frustrating to work with. It's a double crown, and here's how it works. You use the outer crown, which does not move laterally, to wind the watch. But then, the crown within a crown, the one with the sapphire cabochon, that actually withdraws. And so you pull it out, and now you use that crown to set the watch, and in the intermediate position, you can use it to set the date. So it has a stop second and a quick set function, and I'll give you a better view of that from the bottom. That is with the innermost crown withdrawn. So it's easy to wind, but it's also fairly easy to set. And that is something the Clay and the Ballon Bleu were not. Taking a look in profile, it's got a unique shoulder on the 3 o'clock side. And then the dial is classic Cartier, where we have stylized Roman numerals outboard, including a watchmaker's 4 and the secret signature down at 7. We have a rosette type of stamped guilloche at center, and then you can see it actually extends underneath the hour track to the outer edge of the dial. This little oddball wedge index pointing to the date, which, yes, is there. We have blued broadsword style hands for the minutes and the hours, a counterweighted lancet style seconds hand. Not much to see on the reverse side. If you could, you'd see a high-grade ETA 2892A2, bidirectional automatic winding, stop seconds, quick set date, 21 joules, 42-hour power reserve. This 4 hertz movement is thin, fine, universally serviceable, and very, very tough, as I've done things to the 2892 in my Omega that no one should ever do to a mechanical movement. So the watch itself is graceful and delicate, a dress watch, but the movement inside is surprisingly rugged, and it's also a very good timekeeper. 30 meters water resistant, so don't take it swimming. It's not a sports watch. This is instead a very handsome and robust watch. Not often that you could say a watch built for smaller wrists is also squared off, square-jawed, and masculine, but this one really is, and that's the Tank Anglaise to a T. A watch that is graceful, but also a little bit butch. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.